Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all my wonderful and beautiful little subscribers out there. And how I love you all, so, and I hope that you're all super duper well, super duper wonderful, and super duper delicious. And that life is treating you most deliciously. So, what do we do? 3, 2, 1, my juice, little lights. Thank you, little lights. You're delicious and bright. Yes. It's nearly 11:15 a.m. in the morning, my delicious little babies, in our old England. We've got a lot of blue sky. The weather is sunny and it is warm and delicious, my delicious little babies. Okay, sorry, excuse me. So I wasn't going to do a video today, my delicious little babies, because, well, for one, I've got there we are things to do now, and number two is because well, I mean, the weather's just so delicious, isn't it, really? You know what I mean? So sometimes you just want to, well, not sometimes, when the sun's out, I'm out. Do you know what I mean? My delicious little baby's guy. So, it sort of makes you aware, shall I do a video? Shall I not do a video? It's one of those, my delicious little babies. Do you know what I mean? Okay. Yeah, so I was walking around today and I happened to see this mat, like what you put in a car. My delicious little babies. When somebody's cleaned a car. And then it said thank, But if I'd have gone up to it a bit closer and just, let's just say looked at the paper properly, would have said a thank you. Okay. Yes. Whoever's left that there, I will accept thank you, but my man does not change to my views. Okay. So this is not to you, my delicious little babies, okay? But I will accept your thank you. Okay. But my views will not change. I will keep saying what I feel I want to say because I am entitled to my opinion. I'm a woman with a view. There we are. And I shall have my effing view. Okay, my delicious little babies. Now, yes, we've got all this free speech going on. This has been going on for quite a while now, my delicious little babies, okay? And you can actually see on different videos, and this is not just 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. This is like across, there we are, the board, really, my delicious little babies, okay? Because one's feeling, for uploaders, bless, for the majority, you can see, there we are, it's wearing thin, like they're looking tired and everything. And, so it is, in one way or another, there we are, it is taking their toll, do you know what I mean, on anybody who's uploading, because you got to remember, whether somebody's looking at videos or whether somebody's researching, in order to give their information out. It doesn't seem like it's tiring. I said this months and months and months ago, but it actually, there we are, is very tiring. And it does send your eyes square, my delicious little babies. Do you know what I mean? Okay. So, yeah, so what is it now? So I've heard this is a while back anyway, but there was another video anyway. And, yeah, so you see, for ones who know, then of course they know my delicious little babies, okay? But there will be delicious little babies out there who do not know. You see, all of this is so that they can, shall we say, they can get land from from somewhere else, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I'm saying, okay? So when ones, that doesn't mean no, just got an itch. So when ones go to war, they're actually, so like I said, this is not to anybody who already knows this. This is to our delicious little babies who are not aware of this. You see what it is, they're actually going to fight a war, which basically is over land, okay? It's got nothing to do with terrorism or anything like that now. They know it does not have anything to do with that, okay, my delicious little babies, because I've seen plenty of footage over these years. There we are. Yes, I have, where you see these ones who are supposed to be enemies, there we are, stood there having photographs taken and footage taken and shaking hands and laughing together. Okay, my delicious little babies. So, no. Okay, so I'm going to stand by my belief. Okay, just like I believe that there we are, that the earth is flat. I believe that there we are, we do have a flat earth. I mean, others can have their own views and opinions. I have no issue with that. But it's just that I like to, there we are, to look at something. Okay, it's like I do not believe that we are living in a globe. You know, it's just like, it's like one of those little snow globes. And then, you shake, that doesn't mean no. You shake the snow globe, well, it's round, isn't it? Well, we're not in a round world. I do not believe we're in a round. I've got nothing across my shoulders telling me that we are in a round world. My delicious little babies. Of course, they send you around the effing bend. Do you know what I mean? That's about the only thing that's slipping around my delicious little babies. Do you know what I mean? Yes. But no. And I believe that if more and more and more, there we are, work up to this, not being nasty, I'm talking about families now where, they're teenagers, bless, you're in the army now, do you know what I mean? They want to go there because they feel that they're serving, there we are, some sort of positive purpose there, okay? Well, they are not serving any positive purpose, not one bit. I've never ever agreed with, there we are, any war delicious babies, okay? But I also believe, and this is, anyway, I don't need to say, because anybody who knows me knows who I am, there we are. So I do not need to justify myself to anybody. But you see, there's some customs in other countries, shall we say, that are not supposed to be in other countries. My delicious little babies. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes. Okay. So, but what's happened is things have got rather, there we are, over these decades, rather mixed up, my delicious little babies, okay? And as far as I'm concerned, I'm speaking for myself, okay? Nobody should ever feel that they have to live, in a certain way, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I mean? Okay? So when I did my video yesterday evening, yes, I mean, for myself, it was very upsetting watching these videos. And, to spare a thought that these putrid men now, and there's a lot of them, my delicious little babies, in Afghanistan, okay? Because they said it on the camera. They said, they go for your man there, that putrid piece of shit, when he said that, they go for the attractive young lads, Ben's, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I mean? Okay? It's absolutely putrid, man. But of course, there's more men over there. There we are. Than there are women. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay? So you have to see what goes on, my delicious little babies. It's just like we've had it for decades. Okay? That, it has to be one where, we have to believe, there we are, in one view and no other view. Okay, my delicious little babies, I just believe that we should be able to live, there we are, our lives, there we are, the way that we choose to live our lives. But that should not include dirty, filthy business, paedophilia. My delicious little babies, no, it should not. And I say it to my camera now. Okay? So, and it can come in not being wicked or nasty, so I do not mean it. Do you understand what I mean? Against anybody. I'm just not like that. What I'm saying is that it can come in any culture, any colour. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes, okay? It's not just one. But what my question is where this started, there we are, from. Okay? Now, of course, many over decades, they can have many theories, okay? They can say, oh, we'll look back in history, to see where it came from. Okay, my delicious little babies, but one thing I know, there we are, in my noddle for certain, is that kind of dirty business should never be taking place, my delicious little babies. And no, I will not shut up about it, and it will not be in my noddle or in millions of others, accepted that that kind of filthy, dirty, putrid business should take place with any young little baby or little bairn or little teenager, okay, who is innocent. There we are, they're innocent. Okay? It's like these dirty big men now then. And sometimes you get dirty big women, okay? They seem to think that it's perfectly acceptable to take a little baby's innocence or a little bairn or a little teenager's innocence. What, so they live their own lives now then? Okay, well, they're probably, for some, not for all, but they've probably gone through, there we are, some kind of a dirty business now in their own family, Maatelijk babies, you know what I mean? Or maybe with the family friends or something. There we are, do you know what I mean? Maatelijk babies, okay? So, sorry, excuse me. But I'm not saying that's about everybody. So I have to make that very clear. I am not saying it's about everybody. Okay? But what they're doing, you see, there we are, and they've been doing this long time, okay? It's like, if there's a dirty little paedophile, okay, it's like they must be, there we are, protected at all costs. Why should they be protected, Maatelijk babies? They should not be protected. I just do not believe that they should have any place in society. Not even, where the bricks are. Do you understand what I mean, Maatelijk babies? I just believe in nowhere to be seen in society, Maatelijk babies. That is just my feelings on it. Okay? And if you was to ask, say your average, not meaning this in nasty way, it's figure of speech. If you was to ask your average Joe Blogs, okay, there we are, they would be saying exactly the same thing now that I'm saying. Okay, my delicious little babies, this should not be tolerated. But at the same time, there should be changes. There we are, in all countries, because this is across the board, my delicious babies. This is not just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 countries. This is going on, there we are, long time. In many countries, my delicious babies, okay? And there should be having a stop put to it. There we are, my delicious babies. There should be a stop put to it. Do you see what I mean, okay? And, just like that video that I watched yesterday, where that flipping pimp now, in Afghanistan, you should have seen him. He's going into the water, right, Maatelijk babies, okay? I know that they say about sharks, but sharks, they only ever do something if they're aggravated. Do you understand what I mean, okay? But generally speaking, if you just leave them to it, they won't harm anybody, Maatelijk babies, okay? But it's just a figure of speech. I'm just trying to find a way to explain it the best way I can, okay? But the way he went in, but you could see that there was other young lads, you know what I mean? So when the pimp then went into the water, it's like they wanted to get, there we are, to get away from him. Do you see what I mean? Okay, as if they could smell putridness. There we are, Maatelijk babies. Do you know what I mean? But this sort of dirty business should not happen. Just like, these totally underage marriages, Maatelijk babies. None of that should be happening either. It's putrid and wicked, nasty business now. And yes, I will keep talking about it. And even though YouTube is squeezing myself, not in literal terms, Maatelijk babies, but squeezing me. So that, really, that not one video will get out, Maatelijk babies. That's what they're doing to myself. There we are. That's what they're doing. Do you see what I mean? So that, shushy. Do you know what I mean? Don't chat about this business now. Do you see what I mean? Okay, because that's naughty, naughty, naughty. Tap, 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 tap. One is not allowed to talk about these things. Do you see what I mean, Maatelijk babies, okay? But no. Here we are. We must speak up. Do you see what I mean? But at the same time, it is not, because they brought everything into everything, right? But if you go back many, many, many years ago, countries were left to their own devices. In each country, they were left to their own devices. Okay, some of them have much harsher, shall we say, let's just say, regimes, what they do. Mardelicious little babies, okay? But the fact of the matter is, as much as there we are, we want it to change, the only change can be, there we are, in other countries, there we are, and in our country, do you know what I mean? Change has to be, there we are, made, okay? But I just feel that we've got a society where, I'm not going to say about everybody, and this is in each and every country, our country and other countries, okay, Mardelicious little babies, where, apart from a few countries who know nothing about what's going on, Mardelicious little babies, yes, okay? But it's like there are many who just want to live their everyday lives, and they do not want to see, they do not want to hear. So no seeing and no hearing. Okay, because at the end of the day, bless them, whether they're working hard or whatever they're doing, they're just trying to, to survive each and every day. There we are, to survive each and every day. Mardelicious little babies, do you know what I mean? Okay, but they're not wanting to see, because it's like having how can I put it? It's like having, there we are, rose tinted glasses on. It's like, if you cannot see it, if you cannot hear it, then it's not happening. Well, I can be rest assured with you all, Mardelicious little babies, there we are, that these kind of dirty, nasty business, there we are, is happening and has been happening, there we are, for a very long time. Okay, Mardelicious little babies, okay? Now, it would be interesting, actually. Have I met somebody? I think I probably have, in my years. I probably have met a couple, to talk to from Afghanistan. Not in that way, not in that way. Do you know what I mean? But it would be interesting there we are, to talk to somebody, from Afghanistan, to see what, face-to-face birth races, you know what I mean? To see what they have to say. There we are, Mardelicious little babies, do you see what I mean? Okay? But yes, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, there we are, this needs to be talked about, there we are. And to be quite honest with you, yes, there will be videos, there we are, where I will talk about this. But you see, that's what I say to you. But when you see the wars and you see everything else, but then there's other dirty business, nasty things going on then somewhere else. Mardelicious little babies. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes. Okay. So one's, I know it's very difficult. It is very difficult, especially if somebody's never ever done any research, looked into anything. Then, this would be, there we are, horrifying. You know what I mean? And anyway, when you read some of the comments, oh, I'm horrified, I've been crying, I'm in tears. There we are, do you see what I mean? Because one's just never thought for one moment that these things go on now then, Mardelicious little babies, do you know what I mean? So I feel that, there we are, this is about really spreading awareness. And of course, if somebody comes into our country, okay, I'm not going to say about the earlier decades, Mardelicious little babies, because I do not believe that, because if somebody came from one country to another, okay, they came, there we are, to work, there we are, to get a better life, you know what I mean, where there's work and everything, and to, to have a family, there we are, to raise a family, there we are, do you see what I mean, Mardelicious little babies, okay? They never came here to trouble nobody, to cause any problems with anybody, or if they went to another country, they never went there for that reason, Mardelicious little babies, okay? I'm talking about in the recent, there we are, years, Mardelicious little babies. Do you see what I'm saying, okay? But, the fact of the matter is that, of course, along with this, there we are, comes other... in some cases, there we are, other customs, and it does, probably there we are, more than we know. Mardelicious little babies. Now, of course, you got Afghanistan over there, but, England, different places, because there'll be secrets, there we are, places. Mardelicious little babies, do you see what I mean? And of course, there we are, this has been going on a long time, hasn't it? Mardelicious little babies, do you see what I'm saying, okay? But of course, nobody, is allowed to talk about it. The mainstream, they're all behind, there we are, they're all behind, this kind of dirty, filthy, putrid business. And then the fake journalists, because they like to sit in the cozy home, eat the Kersey food. Do you know what I mean? Get to their Kersey job, have the flipping hairs done and have everything else done now then. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes, okay, it's all called pampering. There we are. Isn't it mad, delicious babies cat? That they're prepared to laugh through the effing teeth, man, the Hampstead Heaths, to the box in the corner of the room, and not mention none of this. My delicious little babies, do you see what I mean? It makes me damn rank sick, man. You want to just project in a bucket. But this is, there we are, what it has come to, isn't it? You see, so you can see over all the decades, there we are, the level of brainwashing. It's just like politics is in everything. I mean, I was talking to somebody the other day, my delicious little babies, not long changed jobs. And I said, how are you getting on, like this now? I said, how are you getting on with your new job and everything, you know what I mean? And I said, I hope that you're getting on super duper well and that you're super duper happy. Just said, well, I thought that, basically, there we are, politics is into everything, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I mean? Instead of just letting ones just get on with their job, there we are, their work, my delicious little babies, kind. Same with football. Football's another one. Sports is another one. Politics, there we are in that. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? It's like they have to put the effing nose into, there we are, everywhere, my delicious little babies. Instead of just leaving ones just to get on with what they're doing. Okay, my delicious little babies, this is what I'm done saying. But no, I'm, more and more and more as time's going on. No. I'm not believing the bullshit. No, I'm not. Okay? Especially where these wars are concerned. I'm not saying that things have not gone on over the decades. No, I am not saying that. But what I am saying is that all these, there we are. Okay, before I even say it is not as it seems. No. And I just feel that ones very slowly, there we are, need to really, there we are, wake up to this, my delicious little babies, okay? Because it is a stage. It appears that we're all seen to be, there we are, playing a part, my delicious little babies, whether we want to or not. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay? But we need to, there we are, see it for what it is, my delicious little babies. This is what we need to do. We need to see it for what it damn well is. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay? We've got our beautiful little and large animals over here and all over the world, my delicious little babies, beautiful little and large birdies, creatures great and small. They get treated, for some, there we are, for many, appallingly. My delicious little babies, okay? Oh, and I want to tell you another story. So I've seen, where was it? Somewhere on YouTube, my delicious little babies. I never wrote it down, actually. Where this elderly woman, she had a stroke. My delicious little baby. This is in our old England, my delicious little baby. So she had a stroke, okay? And she'd been in hospital, my delicious little babies, okay? Then she had, the television, poxy flipping barefaced liars they all are. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay? At a door. This poor dear woman now was, she was recovering from coming out of hospital. She was, rather didn't understand what was going on, my delicious little babies, okay? And then, what is it? She sat with a big van, my delicious little babies. And they didn't want to hear it. One of her relatives, I don't know if it was her son or something, he contacted, to whom it may concern, to explain what had happened. Okay, but they didn't want to know. Robbing effing bees, man. See, if it was myself, I just wouldn't pay it. Well, I do not pay my licence. I do not have a television. I do not watch Netflix or anything like this now. Do not do none of that. So I do not pay my licence. I make sure, there we are, that I do not pay my licence. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to pay for something that I do not use. And anyway, in reality, none of us should have to pay for anything. Nothing at all. My delicious little babies, we shouldn't have to pay for a thing. We certainly shouldn't have to pay for water either, Martinish little babies, okay? Because it's all natural. There's no reason why anybody in the world should be hungry. There's no reason in the world why anybody should not prosper. No reason whatsoever. This has been put, there we are, onto our world. There we are, mad little babies. Do you see what I mean? And one's saying, it's going to go down there. Because I do listen. I'm open to listening to different videos, different conversations. Of course, there we are. Of course I am. But, for myself, you see, the way I see it is, every time this, to do this digital, and I do mention about the digital mad little babies, but for myself, what I do is I say something in my noddle, when I come off the camera. Do you see what I mean? Okay. And there we are. And, because what it is and what they've tried to do, okay, with all of us mad little babies, okay, is to take away our critical thought, to take away our, let's just say, our telepathy and our psyche. There we are. This is what they've been doing now over these decades, mad little babies, okay? But they tried to do it with, millions, okay, and bless, very sadly, millions have fallen into that, okay? But you got others, there we are, who still have, that, there we are, ability. Do you see what I mean? Mad delicious little babies, okay? Me being, there we are, one of them. Okay, mad delicious little babies, okay? But here's the thing, because what they do is they cram your noddle with so many things now. Do you see what I mean? That you don't know if you're in the park of the pictures. Do you know what I mean? Mad delicious little babies, okay? But you see, we've got the power, there we are, of the mind, of our noddles. There we are, we have the power. But of course, they do not want us to have that power. But that's come from ourselves. It's come from our beautiful, mammy bears, papa bears. Do you understand what I mean? Okay, it's come from them, and then of course it's gone generation. Do you see what I mean? Okay, I mean, take a look at our beautiful little babies who we call our sons or daughters. Little and large animals over here and all over the world, little and large birdies. Okay, if you look and you watch them, there we are, very carefully, they can see, like you could look into these beautiful animals, you could, there we are, look into their eyes, and it's like they're looking straight inside of you. Do you know what I mean? Because they can see, it's like if there's danger, so what will they do? And you look in the wild, they'll get out of the way. Mad delicious little babies, do you know what I mean? Because they know that, they'll go and, hide somewhere, do you know what I mean? See what's going on. Our beautiful little babies, they know what's happening. There we are, well before we know what's happening. Do you see what I mean? Mad delicious little babies, okay? And they're very good at, there we are, seeing spirit and things like this now then. It's like I watched another beautiful little video. It was only minutes long, mad delicious little babies on YouTube. And it was about this, this is like an elephant sanctuary. And they had large, two large heaps of sand. And there was this beautiful little baby elephant, mad little babies, okay? And, this beautiful little elephant, okay, was kicking the sand, just lay on the floor and was rolling on the sand, mad delicious little babies, rolling over, like what we used to, well, I used to do it anyway when I was little. We used to have hills with the grass. Do you know what I mean? We used to have slides and everything. Then you'd sort of roll down the grass. Do you know what I mean? Mad delicious little babies. It sounds something like it doesn't mean anything, but there we are. But to myself, that meant everything when I was little. You know what I mean? It was, you could smell the fresh grass. You could roll down the hill. Do you know what I mean? And that was, part of fun. Do you see what I mean? Mad little babies. And when I was watching it, it took my noddle back, and I thought, yes, because it's very little Bairn like, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? They just wanted to roll, and they kept going up to the camera. okay, as if to say, you know, will you come and join me in the fun? But it was so beautiful to see, but that's pure innocence. But then, of course, you know, we've seen over the decades where then you have so many beautiful elephants, you know, very sadly they get killed. Beautiful giraffes, they get killed. Beautiful, you know, tigers, lions. Do you understand what I mean? And it's usually, there we are, to do with man and how they've been trained to be. Mad little babies, do you see what I mean? But when one comes into the world, I mean, apart from the exception of some mad little babies, but for the rest of us, we come into the world, there we are, and we are just innocent. Do you see? And I just believe that we can learn so much from our beautiful little babies now. Do you understand what I mean? There we are. We can learn so much. Do you see? So that's the end of my video, my delicious little babies. Do you know what I mean? And I've thought that, there we are, for years. There we are, years and years and years. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? Okay. So I just believe that we need to stay strong now. There we are. We stay strong. There we are. We stand our ground. And we don't give an inch. We do not give an inch. They will not get the digital through. 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 Gotta keep shining that light. Shining that light. There we are. Shining that light. So wherever you are in the world, my delicious little babies, whether it's morning, afternoon or evening, please have a super duper delicious time. You only get one life, my little honey bunnies, sending peace, love, harmony and bright blessings to each and every one of you. And may your beautiful little selves and your beautiful little families, may you all be fully protected. And I hope that life is treating you most deliciously wherever you are in the world, okay? So I know that it appears that I go on mad till little babies' lights off. So I know it appears like I go on mad till little babies, okay? But I do it for good reason. There we are. Do you know what I mean? I mean, you know, the end of the day, YouTube, you know, all certain telling them there we are then what to do now then, isn't it? Okay? But one way or another, like I always say, there we are, you know, the word, what I've got to say, there we are, does get out. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay? It's all about a timing. There we are. You see, my delicious little babies, do you see what I mean? Yes. Okay? But I'm not here to hurt, offend, upset, depress anybody. No, I'm not. It's just that I feel that once more and more, you know, realise and come to the realisation, okay, that number one, there we are, we've all been played at some time. Okay, my delicious little babies, like a flipping fiddle now. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay? And one's realise that we have our own dear giddy God within, okay, and our own power, okay, that we can say no, there we are, to this shat. No, 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 no. That is what we say. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay, because we have not asked for any of this. None of us have asked. Okay, I do not vote, but there's been no voting, you know, no government in the world has said, okay, what would you like? What changes would you like to see? Not one of them. They go behind closed doors. They show in front of the camera, there we are, what they want to show. Okay, this is how they're done operating now. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay? So they're certainly not our friends. Not one bit. But if they was to do something completely different, there we are, you would have far more respect. But of course, you're going to have one still because they're very wet behind the ears. Some mothers do have them. And yes, I will say that. Okay? And I feel no way. Got no skin on my bird race. Old-fashioned Jamaican saying when I say it. Have they not learned after there we are all these decades that they're peeing against the wind, man? So every time somebody new comes in, what they do is to F us up. There we are, even more Marzlichtig babies, okay? But you cannot tell some. They're that flipping severely flipping twisted and brainwashed. It's just unreal. Do you know what I mean? And then it's like repeat, repeat, repeat. Do you see what I mean? Okay, then they start flipping bawling like titilalas, me 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 me, because they're getting flipping not the desired outcome that they want, Marzlichtig babies. Well, you know what I mean? It's all ding ding dong dong common sense. They're doing it. There we are in all of our birth races. There we are for everybody to see. So I'm just not too sure what else it's going to take, Marzlichtig babies. But like I said, we all say there we are, no to this shot. Okay, then it will end. There we are, it will end. Do you see what I mean? Because we should be given a choice of what we want to do in our own countries. Everybody should be given a choice. And we should have, there we are, clean food, clean water. There we are. We should have all of these things. Nobody should have to beg for clean water and clean food. Do you know what I mean, Marzlichtig babies? Yes. Okay. So, like I say, you got to always, there we are, question everything. But, you know, we can all make, there we are, positive change just by saying no. You say, okay, Marzlichtig babies. So until my next video, you know, how I love you also, okay? Sending bright blessings to each and every one of you, okay? Thank you for any views, for any likes, for the occasional comments, okay? Because this is, with YouTube, this is going to be going on for a while yet. Do you know what I mean, Marzlichtig babies, okay? Because I'm not playing the game. You see what I mean? It's like they still keep me on here, but I'm not playing the game, you see. So if you play the game, if you're a nicey, good little girl, then there we are, then your numbers go up. But if you're not playing the game because you are not a liking, and I am not a liking, you see what I mean? This is what they do. Do you see what I'm saying, okay? But of course, again, what are they afraid of? There we are. They're afraid of what comes out of our trap. Just like others, thousands of others, Marzlichtig babies, you know what I mean? That's why you find that in the end, ones just say, oh, okay, I'll just give up and everything. Well, no, I'm not going to give up. You know what I mean? No matter what they want to do to me, you know, I'm not going to give up. You know what I mean? Whatever YouTube wants to do, let them roll on. Do you know what I mean? So, what's that song? Sail on, honey. Good times never felt so good. Do you know what I mean? So while they're doing this, all that it's doing, Marzlichtig babies, okay, is just letting, there we are, others see, you know, who does get to look at any of my videos and so very kind enough to listen, that ones would question why my numbers are sticking to like one view or 2 or 3 views. Ones would, there we are, question this. Do you see what I mean, Marzlichtig babies, okay? But that's the game they're playing. Because you've got to remember, it's all a game, isn't it, Marzlichtig babies, okay? And of course, you know, the ones who are bullshatters, the ones who will sell their flipping granny down the river now, their Nana Bear down the river, okay? They go into thousands and sometimes millions, Marzlichtig babies. Do you see what I mean? Depending on who they are. So that's all I have to say, Marzlichtig babies. But you just please take care of yourselves and please try to take care of others. Until my next video, so much love. Once again, take care. Thank you. Goodbye.